Before we were free. Chapter 8. Almost free. Pages 90 to 94. He's coming, Oscar yells from the nursery room we use as our classroom. We've been playing hide and seek with his little three sisters. Since Oscar is it, I wonder if he's trying to trick us into coming out of our hiding places. Hurry up or you'll miss him. I look at the clock in the hallway, and sure enough, it's 5:15. El Jefe will be walking down from his mother's mansion, past Oscar's house next to the Italian embassy, all the way to the Avenida by the ocean. Every evening of the week, he follows the same routine. Oscar says El Jefe is really strict about his schedule and does things right on the dot, not at a moment before or after. He is superstitious that if he's off by a minute, something awful will happen to him. I race down the hall so I can catch a glimpse of El Jefe, surrounded by his throng of bodyguards and important people from his cabinet. The first time I saw this afternoon parade, I was surprised to recognize several men from the group that gathers at our house every night to talk about getting rid of El Jefe. I don't say so to Oscar. I don't say much even at school these days. Many times, when we play hide and seek to keep his little sisters entertained, I won't come out of my hiding place when I hear, a lie, oxen free. But like Pappy, Oscar seems to understand my silence and goes on talking to me anyway. El Jefe is not wearing his jewelry today. Maria Eugenia, the oldest of the three little sisters, has joined us at the front window. It's not jewelry, it's his medals, Oscar corrects. Why can't they be jewelry? Maria Eugenia protests. They're gold. There's 20 soldiers, Maria Rosa pipes up. She just started learning numbers, and so everything she sees, she counts up. She's the youngest of the three little girls, all of whom have Maria as part of their name. Mrs. Mancini is really devoted to the Virgin Mary, Oscar has told me. Even he has Maria in his name, Oscar M. Mancini. At school, Oscar always refused to say what his middle initial stood for. Why does he have so many soldiers? Maria Josefina, the middle sister, wants to know. All three little girls are now crowded at the window. Because, Oscar answers shortly. Because what? Curiosity runs in the family. Shh, he's going to hear you, Oscar warns. The three little girls fall silent. Oscar has already told them that if they get caught spying, they'll be taken out on the street and shot. That's strange. He's wearing his khaki today, Oscar points out. El Jefe always wears his white uniform except on Wednesdays when he heads to his country home at night. Then he wears a green khaki outfit, but today is only Tuesday. He probably has a new girlfriend, Oscar guesses. El Jefe keeps all his girlfriends out in his country house, where his wife never goes. Otherwise, she would surely burden them. I shiver, remembering how El Jefe spotted Lucinda at Susie's party and started carting her with roses. Quickly, I draw back from the window. What if El Jefe looks up and sees Sam up to get me? So, are you the girl who never cries? He would greet me. No, señor, I rehearse my reply. I am the girl who hardly talks anymore. After El Jefe passes by, I stand a while at the window, looking up at a glint of silver in the sky. The Daily Pen AM flight is departing from the States. The Garcia girls left on that flight, as did my grandparents, uncles, and aunts and their families, then Lucinda and Susie, and finally, a few days ago, Sam and his mom. Oscar comes up beside me. The little girls have been called to their baths. We're alone in the nursery. Are you sad because of Sam leaving, Anita? It's sweet of Oscar to care, but I don't know how to tell him that I haven't been spending all much time with Sam. In fact, the last time we saw each other alone was when Sam came over to say goodbye. Sam talked on and on about how excited he was to be going back to the States. He handed over a present, a little Statue of Liberty paperweight that I was sure his mother had picked out. Thanks, I managed to murmur. I wanted to say something more. After all, Sam was my first love. There was a time when my heart would play jump rope when I saw him crossing over to our house. But those feelings had completely fizzled out. Sam had grinned when Charlie made fun of me. Why hadn't he defended me? Maybe he was just hadn't been brave enough to stand up for me? Not being brave is easier to understand than being plain mean. It's scary being the ones left, don't you think? Oscar is saying. I looked down at the fists my hand half formed without my even telling them. Suddenly, I'm so grateful to Oscar for admitting he's scared too. Now I don't want to feel as I am going crazy all by myself. You know what Papi says? Oscar asked. His voice is real quiet as if we're in a secret place together. You can't be brave if you're not scared. I know exactly what he means. Oscar sure seems a lot older and wiser than when he used to talk or ask Mrs. Brown a lot of questions. I smiled back at him. He leans toward me, and for a moment, I think he's actually going to whisper a secret in my ear. But instead, his lips touch my cheek, and it's an odd moment to be getting my first kiss. Shortly after that, Papi comes by to pick us up. He honks the horn for us to come quickly. Usually, he gets out of the car and visits with Doña Margot, Mrs. Mancini's mother, while Mundine and Maria de los Santos, Oscar's older sister, finish up their game of parchís. Doña Margot, who lives with the Mancinis, chaperones Maria de los Santos whenever boys come to visit. That means she hangs around Maria de los Santos to make sure nothing happens, rocking in the rocker and falling asleep after a while. Mundine, who just turned 15, has a terrible crush on Oscar's sister, who's a whole year older than he. She wears her down her back in one long braid, which she unbraids and rebraids whenever she gets nervous. At least her nails are intact. Doña Margot stands on the balcony and waves for Papi to come in. Papi waves back. No puedo, Doña Margot. Tengo un compromiso. He can't come in. He has a commitment. Maybe one of his after-dinner meetings with Tio Tony and his friends. I gather my things and race downstairs to the car. Usually, I hurry to beat Mundine so I can sit in front of next to Papi. But today, I have to get away from Oscar. It isn't that I'm sorry he kissed me. I just can't find the words for the mixture of confusion and pleasure I'm feeling. Sitting in the car, I'm sure Papi can tell that a boy has kissed me, but Papi seems distracted, turning on the radio, then turning it off, honking the horn a few more times before Mundine finally appears at the door. From the balcony, Maria de los Santos waves her languid goodbyes as my brother climbs in. On the drive home, Papi keeps forgetting to slow down for the lying policeman. Are you going out tonight, Papi? He doesn't answer me right away, which is unusual. I speak so rarely these days that when I do, people make a point of paying attention to me. Eh, Papi? I ask again. Papi turns to me with a if looks could kill you look in his eyes. But the minute he realizes who I am, the look shifts and he smiles. What was that, Anita? I try again, but the words have slipped from my mind. She asked if we were going out tonight. It's Mundine from the backseat. Just last Wednesday, Papi and Tio Tony's friends gathered at our house, talking in excited whispers. Then everyone got into their cars and drove off. Later that night, I heard that Jefe coming back, doors closing, and then Papi and Tio Tony explaining something to Mundine and Mami about Mr. Smith not showing up at the picnic site. Going out? Yes, I'm going out tonight, Papi says absently. I heard he was wearing his khaki today, Mundine notes. Papi looks in the rearview mirror and nuts.